All right, joining us now from Chicago, I know he's not backing Kamala Harris, House of Delegates member from the Goochland, Louisa area, Republican John McGuire. John, great to have you, man.
Hey, good morning, John. Thanks for having me this morning. I just got to say, God bless you for defending the Catholic Church. You know, I'm a Baptist, but I thought you're right. The governor has a complete lack of leadership on this issue.
I was less offended, John, by what Gail Donegan did, and more offended by the way the governor handled it. Like, I don't play, I know Gail. She's an atheist. I get it. I wouldn't have done those posts. They were kind of mean. But I really was I was flabbergasted by the way this governor handled it and basically dismissed the anti-Catholic vitriol as fine. And he's just upset because if she goes forward, she can't throw around the F-bomb. I mean, you have got to be kidding me. This guy is going to be the biggest disaster. Anyway, well, John, thank you for that. And, look, as a Catholic like me, we have to figure out what's going on with our church. A lot of us don't like the Pope's politics. Obviously, the cover-ups have been horrific. And, as a kid growing up for me, what my parents taught me is you saw that collar, it meant something. And so that's been tarnished. And we as Catholics have to figure that out. And we're still going through it. And I don't need Governor Northam dismissing it like, so much change in his pocket. Let's get to your race, John, and get to the House. A lot of Democrats telling me they're going to win 53, 54, 55 seats. They're saying they've got the enthusiasm. Republicans are infighting. What do you see happening, John, both in your district and going forward in November 2019, John McGuire?
Well, we should always run like we're 20 points behind. But, you could get into a room with anyone, and if you talk facts and logic, the Republican Party and the conservative messages are just a better message. I mean, nobody wants their taxes raised. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So we got a better message. We just got to come together as a team. Our district, we're working really hard. I mean, right after Labor Day, we're going to even double down on our efforts even more. People say we're looking pretty good, but, I assume we're 20 points behind. But what I would say to you and all your listeners is we need all hands on deck. I had some people in the Dave Bratt race said, hey, I didn't vote that day. I'm like, come on, man, what are you talking about? Every vote counts. The reason we have a majority in the House right now is a film canister. And I really think God had something to do with that because you can imagine if that film canister had been a Democrat. So we got a lot at stake. We need you and all your listeners, all hands on deck. You probably know that 40 senators and 40 delegates are up for re-election, and we have a fundraising deadline Sunday. So let's get everybody to go to our websites and donate, and let's kick those Democrats' butts.
Well, John, one of the other things that are going on right now is that people don't realize is the agenda. I mean, it is amazing. Everybody, what the Democrats are running on right now is just Trump sucks, right? That's their platform in Virginia. What the Republicans aren't doing is framing what the Eileen Filler-Corn caucus of the corn and what the Democrats in charge are going to, what the havoc they're going to wreak on Virginia with their radical crackpot left-wing agenda that is being swept under the rug. I mean, let's start with Lee Carter, an avowed socialist. This guy's going to be a chairman of the committee. Let's go to right to work. First day out of the box, they're going to eliminate that with the number one job state in America. Let's go to Kathy Tram. John, let's go to taking away your guns and Mark Levine. Can you comment on some of those policies that if they take control of the House, Alfonso Lopez said, we're going to do in 2 afternoons what we've been fighting for 2 decades. Can you comment on that, John?
Yeah, what he's talking about basically in his own way is saying that we're going to turn Virginia into San Francisco in just 2 days. When I saw my oldest son go in the Navy, I ran for the House of Delegates because I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself and serve again. But when I saw the video of Kathy Tran saying it's okay to kill a baby on the table, that just broke my heart. And so that just fired me up to give it all I've got. I mean, there's a lot at stake. I got to tell you, there are many men and women that have died to protect our freedoms, and they would roll over in their grave. They saw some of the things they're proposing. I mean, right to work is gone, $1 billion in tax increases. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So, our country was founded on freedom and common sense, and once you take those freedoms away, it's hard to get them back. So there's a lot at stake in November, and, I've been knocking a lot of doors, and a lot of people just aren't aware. So we have a lot going on, and we as Republicans have got to make sure we message those things, because we definitely have a better message, and we have a vision for a better Virginia, and we got to fight.
John, when you're talking to voters going door to door, what are they telling you?
So I got to tell you, there's different angles on things that they're talking about. One of the biggest things is they're always sick and tired of the news. Like a lot of people say, we're not watching the news anymore because there's so much bickering and arguing, and maybe that's part of their strategy. I think they started off with Trump with resist, and then Russia. They started with Russia, and then it was what was the next one? They talked about racism, and now they're talking about recession. And the economy is great right now. Unemployment is lowest it's ever been for women, minorities, especially the black community. I mean, he's doing so many things that he said, and I just have to go back to those messages when they talk about Trump. But they're talking about they're sick and tired of all the divide, but they're not really talking about the Kathy Tran stuff as much as they should. So I educate them on that.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this: there's a ton of money going into the Democrats in this cycle. Now, last cycle we got the Bloomberg money. Now we've got this dark money coming from this guy, Michael Bills in Charlottesville, this clean Virginia. Him and his wife, Sonia Smith, they're sending $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 checks a pop to House members. Obviously, there's a quid pro quo, Delegate McGuire. You don't give that kind of money just because you like the person. Most of these people they've never even met. So they basically say, if you take the pledge and don't take money from the Dominion, I'm going to give you $30,000, $40,000, or $50,000. And obviously, the reason for that is I want you to vote against all pipelines in perpetuity so we get no energy. I mean, isn't that an issue in this campaign? The fact that you've got one guy and his wife that was a hedge fund manager buying votes and trying to buy the speaker's gavel?
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous that outside money is paying for elections in Virginia. And I'm not really sure what the answer to that is, except that, we've got to work hard and get our message out. And there have been many cases where people had more money and still lost. We definitely have a better message. But I think it's ridiculous that outside money tries to buy votes in our state.
All right, tell me, in your mind, going into this election, what is the number one issue for you?
Well, I always hear in politics that jobs is number one, and Virginia has become number one in business again. And if we lose this majority in the House and the Senate, businesses are going to move to North Carolina and other states. So I think jobs, education is certainly very important. And this opioid crisis is crazy. I've knocked on 7 doors where a mother or father cried because their son or daughter died. So there's a lot going on, but I think really it's the economy and it's jobs.
Tell me more about the opioid feedback that you're getting.
Well, one thing that, I was able to do as a team is we put in a bill to allow teachers to store and administer Narcan and other anti-opioid antagonists. That was one of the bills that we got passed this last session and went unanimously through the House and the Senate, all Democrats, all Republicans. But that was a good start. Even the McShin Foundation said they jumped on board that bill and said it was great. But fentanyl, I guess we had enough fentanyl coming to the country last year to kill every American, and that's ridiculous. You always hear there's no crisis at the border. There's a major crisis at the border. But the opioid crisis is a big deal. I was working 2 or 3 jobs in high school. I didn't have time for drugs. I don't know what's going on with our society. But it's destroying families in Virginia and across our country, and we've got to put a lot of effort into stopping that.
All right, John McGuire. Also want to tell our listeners high school football starts tonight, Friday Night Lights on WJFN 100.5 FM and WJFNradio.com. The Goochland High School Bulldogs open their season tonight, August 30th, 7 o'clock at Lafayette. That's in Williamsburg, Warner Stadium. Pre-game show, 6:30 p.m. your Goochland Bulldogs on the John Fredericks Radio Network. And guess who one of the big sponsors is for that? Making your Bulldog radio broadcast viable? Coming right to you, John McGuire for Delegate. And, John, we thank you for that. More information.
Thanks for having me there, John. Hey, please tell your listeners to go donate to Republicans. We have a fundraising deadline on Sunday, and your listeners can donate to me at McGuire56.com. Go Bulldogs. McGuire56.com, MCG, McGuire56.com. Delegate John McGuire, thanks for being with us live from Chicago. Get back safe. You're on the John Fredericks